Hello everyone. Hi. I think we will just get started straight away with the webinar from April this year, which is license installation in OpendTect. So let's crack on. I'd like to begin with an introduction and an overview, which will be the structure of OpendTect, its commercial and open source plugins. I will then go briefly through the triple nature of the licensing policy. We'll look at the different license types and their installation, which refers basically to node-locked and floating licenses. The fourth thing we will look at is clearing, license installation, and some common issues. And finally, we will look at the process of requesting a license. So, a little bit of background first of all on OpendTect. What is it? What is OpendTect? Now, OpendTect is a free seismic interpretation system for 2 and 3D seismic, which is supported on all 3 major platforms, Windows, Linux and Mac. It is a free development platform also. It's open source in a C++ environment. And OpendTect is extendable with commercial plugins. These are closed source and are produced by multiple different vendors. OpendTect is developed and supported by DGB Earth Sciences. Okay, DGB runs a freemium business model for OpendTect, which consists of a free and a premium part, and there you have freemium. The free part is the open source seismic interpretation package, which I've just described, which is OpendTect. And the premium part are the commercial products and services, which include the closed source commercial plugins, maintenance and support, paid development, consultancy and training, and proprietary case studies. Now, the next question is, which commercial plugins exist? DGB, ourselves, we make 8 commercial closed source plugins, and we have several other partners which make various other plugins. These are ArcCLS, which makes the plugins listed here. ArcCLS in combination with Earthworks produce another 2 plugins, closed source. GeoKinetics make 2 more. SitFile makes 1 more. And recently added is ArcX, which produced the Xfield plugin. All plugins can be licensed through ourselves at DGB. Now there are also 2 free plugins. These are open source. These are available for OpendTect, and they're called Madagascar and GMT. As you can see, Madagascar is a package for multidimensional data analysis, and GMT is a mapping tool. These 2 open source plugins do not require licenses. You can find the complete list of supported plugins per platform at this page here below on our website. Okay, now to the triple licensing policy. We have 3 types of licenses, obviously. First of all is open source, which is the GNU license. This allows OpendTect to be used freely also for commercial work and for the development of open source plugins. There is a commercial license which costs €1,600 per year per user. This gives you priority support. It allows for the purchase or lease of commercial closed source plugins and for the development of the closed source plugins too. And finally we have an academic license which allows for free use of commercial plugins for R&D and education purposes only, and also a liberal release policy when it comes to developing your own plugins. All of these commercial plugins are protected by FlexNet licensing management software. So the question is, why would we use FlexNet? FlexNet is the world's most widely used software license management system. So basically, for larger companies who are probably running several other types of software, most of which will be using FlexNet, adding another software license manager is not really attractive or efficient. And for this reason, OpendTect licenses are managed with FlexNet. Okay, now onto the license types. Licenses are there to allow the use of software only if certain conditions are met, or, in other words, they are there to limit the use of software to within certain parameters. And these parameters, in our case, are time. In other words, we can set an expiry date for the license. Specific machines, the number of simultaneous users, and the version number of the software. So there are three types of license. There are node-lock licenses. These are limited to specific machines. They are also limited to an expiry date. And these can be installed directly onto the machine that's running OpendTect. There are demo or evaluation licenses. These are limited to an expiry date and are also directly installed onto the machine which is running OpendTect. And finally, there are floating or server licenses. These are limited to an expiry date and to a maximum number of simultaneous users. And these can be used from any machine which has access to a specified server delivering and managing that license. Okay, first of all, we'll look in a bit more detail at the node-lock licenses. This is an example of a DGB node-lock license. It looks somewhat like this, and I'll just take you through some of the features and describe some of the information which is contained within it. As you can see here, we have a FlexNet version number. This is needed by the license in order for it to be managed properly. We have here, always on our licenses, a web page URL which is used as a reference if you need help. We have a feature and the shorthand for that feature. The feature here is the dip steering plugin, and the shorthand here is the Detect DS. Have a maximum version number for which the license can be used. We have an expiry date. We have a count. In this case it's uncounted, and this is for this reason, because we have a host ID line in the license, and this makes it node locked. The license is locked to the host ID described here, to this MAC address. And finally, we have the encryption key for the particular features which the license allows use of. Okay, now a slight variation of this license is known as the demo or evaluation license. And this looks like this. It's almost identical to the node-lock license, except for the fact here that the host ID, rather than being set to and locked to a particular MAC address, is set to demo. This means that it can be installed on any machine and is limited only by the expiry date. So for the installation of node-locked and demo licenses on Windows, there are several options. You can use the FlexNet tools. So on being prompted by the FlexNet tools, either on first use of OpendTect or on first use of a particular plugin within OpendTect, you'll be prompted by a window which looks like this. In this case, for the node-locked installation, you should toggle the radio button which says specify the license file, as shown in this image. Click Next to browse to the file, and once you have installed it, you can click Finish and you're done. Another way of installing node-locked and demo licenses on Windows is also to use the FlexNet tools, but in a slightly different way. You will launch the LM tools from start or from within the installation. You select Configuration using license file, as shown in the image here, and go to the Utilities tab, as shown here. You enter the vendor name, so for DGB license installation, the vendor name will be DGB LD, and you browse to the license by clicking on this small button here. And finally, press Override Path to install the license. Okay, so Node Locked-in demo installation on Linux and Mac is slightly different. You can use the install license script. For example, install DGB license, and you would put it somewhere like this. Or, finally, on all platforms, these node locked or demo licenses can be installed by using the License Utilities option from the OpendTect Utilities drop-down. So you would drop down the Utilities, License Utilities, and press Install Demo License. You're presented with a window like this, and for each of the 3 vendors which you can show here, you simply press Select, browse to where the license file is located, and press OK. And finally, for all platforms, you can also choose to set an environment variable, LM license file, and set that to full path to license file. Okay, I'm going to give you a quick demonstration of those options now. So let me just close this down. So without any licenses, I will try and open OpendTect. I'm presented with the window. So I would choose to specify the license file. I would click on Next. I will browse to my DGB license, and once I've selected it, I can click Next and Finish. OpendTect will then open. One of the other options I can choose is here. I can choose the Utilities, License Utilities, Install Demo License, and once again I can select. So I'd go to C, Licenses. So the first one is DGB. Okay. Next for ArcCLS, and finally for SIT-file. And I'm prompted with a successful message and to restart. Now, on starting OpendTect, we have no pop-up. Okay. The other option was to go to the LM Tools via the Start menu, which I will do here. Configuration using license file, and then to Utilities. I'll enter the vendor name here, which is DGB LD, or DGB License Daemon. And again, I can navigate to locate the license file and click on Override Path, and you can see the information updated within the LM Tools here. Okay. So now we have covered node locked-in demo licenses and their installation. We'll move on to floating licenses. Following an example of a DGB floating license, as we can see, it looks fairly similar to the node locked-in demo licenses in that we have the FlexNet version, we have the reference web page for help, and we have all the other features that we mentioned previously. In this case, however, we have a count. Rather than being uncounted, we do have a proper count here, which is the maximum number of simultaneous users which this license will allow via the FlexNet management system. We also have a server line, which gives the name of the server and its MAC address, and we have a daemon line which needs to be edited to give the full path to the vendor daemon, in this case the DGB license daemon. Okay. In very simple terms, the FlexNet licensing process is this. OpendTect needs to check if a license is available. It sends a request to the license manager, and an allow or deny message is returned to the software. And in a little more detail, we can see that the FlexNet licensing process actually consists of 4 components. OpendTect itself has the license file, there's a license manager daemon, and there is the vendor daemon, in this case the DGB license daemon. And the process is this. First of all, the license module within OpendTect finds the license file, and this tells it where the server is. OpendTect will then connect with the license manager daemon on the server, and this tells it which vendor daemon it needs to talk to. In this case, it's the DGBLD. So it will contact DGBLD. DGBLD will then do a count on the number of licenses that are available. This information will be passed back through the license manager to OpendTect, and the license module in OpendTect will either allow or deny the use of that particular plugin. So, where to place the license file? We recommend to have the license file accessible to every machine which is running OpendTect. So this gives you a degree of flexibility. You may place the license file in a network location which is available to all machines running OpendTect. This can also be on the server itself, along with the license manager daemon and the vendor daemons. It does not necessarily have to be. You can also copy the license file to all of the machines which are running OpendTect. This will be typically in C licenses. Or you can set the LM license file environment variable to port at host. And this is information which you can find from the server line in the license file. And where to place the daemons. For counted licenses, what matters is what is available on the server. So it's best practice to actually place the entire contents of the LMDGB folder, which contains the license manager daemon and the vendor daemon, onto the server along with the license file. The LMDGB folder can be found here within the installation OpendTect LMDGB. The license file that is read by the license manager daemon needs to have the daemon line altered. Now on Linux this is done automatically when you use the install script, but on Windows you will need to use the text editor and change it yourself. So you will go from this is how you will receive the license from us, and you will need to edit it to show the full path to the DGB license daemon. And a quick note for systems admins, the daemons are all directly available from this location on our website. Okay, so starting the license server manager on Windows, you will open the LM tools, and in this case you will select configuration using services in place of configuration using license file, and you will select the config services tab. You will enter a name for the service, so we would have, for example here, DGB OpendTect, and you would set the paths to the license manager daemon, path to the license file, and the path to the debug log file. These are all in the installation under Program Files OpendTect 4.6, and then in these particular locations, which you can see specified here. The debug log file is traditionally given the license file's name with the extension .log. Okay, so starting the license service manager on Unix, during the installation, OpendTect generates 2 scripts. The first of which is the install license script. This is located in the root of your installation directory. And this script will ask you where the license file you obtained is. It will then install this file into your OpendTect installation. The second script which is used is the start LM grd script, and you can run this script after installation of the license file, and it will automatically use the server information from the installed license file. And all output, once again, from the license manager daemon will be sent to the log file, which on Unix is by default license vendorname.log. And on all platforms, the environment variable lm license file can be set to @server name or @server IP address. Okay, so let's have a quick demonstration of that. So we would come once again to the LM tools, and in this case we come to configuration using services, config services tab. I would enter a name for the service, and I would browse first of all to the license manager daemon, which will be in C program files OpendTect 4.6, and it is here. The license file we will have in, for example, C licenses, and the log file will be also in C licenses. And then we can choose to use services. And if we want to have this service started automatically, we can choose for start server at power up. Okay. So for clearing license installations, for node.license clearance on Windows only, we have the option to use the license utilities option from within OpendTect. You'll simply come to the utilities, license utilities, and press clear license installation and restart when prompted. For clearing node.licenses on Unix, you'll need to locate the .flexlm.rc file in your home directory, which will be here. It's best to check in the file for specific lines referring to the OpendTect vendors, so DGB, ArcCLS, and SID file. And if the file contains lines which are relevant to other software, then just delete the individual lines. Otherwise, you may choose to delete the entire file. And also for clearing floating license installations, for Windows, the same clear license installation will work for floating licenses because it clears the registry, but it will not stop the license daemon. Please note that. And for Unix, once again, you can check in your FlexLM.rc file. And for all platforms, the best course of action is to actually delete or rename the license so that the FlexNet software can neither find it nor read it. This is one of our common issues. Okay, so very briefly, 3 of the most common issues, which is the Windows firewall preventing communication. In the Windows firewall interface, you can add exceptions for the manager daemons involved, the license manager daemon and the vendor daemons, and you will need to then restart. FlexNet has a habit of locating old licenses and trying to read them, preferably to new licenses which are installed. This happens particularly when upgrading to a new software or license version, and gives the impression that there is either something wrong with the new license or that you haven't installed it properly. The best course of action here is to really physically remove all old licenses or rename them and restart. And the other most common issue is not completing the daemon line with the full path to the vendor daemon, for example DGB-LD. In this case, you need to edit the license file appropriately and restart. For further information, please refer to our support page, specifically for licenses, or contact support@dgbs.com. Now, the process of requesting a license is quite simple. For commercial users, you can go directly to a web form to request a demo or evaluation license at this address here. And for academic users, the procedure to obtain the free academic license and the plugins can be found at this address here. And for all questions about license, its request process, installation, and any other surrounding issues, please just contact us at support@dgbes.com. Okay, I would just like to summarize the things we've looked at here, which was the structure of OpendTect and its commercial and open source plugins, the triple nature of the licensing policy, the license types and their installation, clearing license installation and some common issues, and how to request a license. Are there any questions?
Thank you so much, Mark, and I think it was a very useful presentation. Now it's time for all the attendees. If you want to have, if you have any questions, just either to raise your hands or you just write it in a question pane, and Bert will answer it for you. Yeah, Tracy Stark has a question. Okay, that's a question for Bert. Have you looked at RLM?
Yeah, people can hear me now? Yeah, we have actually looked at RLM. We've looked at, well, I've looked at many of these systems. And RLM is better, but still not nearly used as much as the FlexLM system. And for us, it was really a matter of this is the big thing for us. What do our large clients want? And that's overwhelmingly FlexLM. They know about the system, they've used it, they can work with it. And the downside of FlexLM is indeed that let's say the smaller companies, the smaller users, have more problems with it because it is quite an opaque, rather difficult to use system. But we have looked at it and we have decided not to use it. Does that answer the question?
Tracy, that answers your question? Yes, saying yes. Okay, good. I don't see any other question coming. So I just want to thank everyone for participation today. And if you ever think about any question, again, just feel free to email us at webinar@dgbes.com or at the support also email. I would like to thank Mark for his presentation and Bert for answering the questions. And I'd like to tell everyone that we usually have a webinar. We're trying to do it every month as we can and as much as we can. And please join us next month. We will be talking about multi-machine processing setup, and also Mark will present it for us again next month in May. I'd like to tell everyone that this webinar is recorded, and you will be receiving the link within a week with a video link. And please feel free to listen to it, and if you have any questions, just contact us. Okay, thanks for participation again. Goodbye, everyone. Yeah, Mark, do you have any comments?
Just would like to thank everyone for attending, and yeah, hope it was useful.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. Okay.
Bye-bye.